How do science and Christianity relate to one another? Can you be a Christian and be a scientist? Can you be a scientist and still be a Christian? Questions worth asking, but they are questions because it seems like in our world, Christianity has been pitted against science. It almost appears as if you can only be one or the other. But in reality, science can teach you a lot about God and show you a lot about your God. Here's some examples. You can see that God is a God of order. As you see the water system and how God evaporates water, sends it up into the air, condenses it, and lets it fall. The water cycle keeps going so that plants are watered, so that something like photosynthesis could happen, so that the crops may grow and so that we may eat. You can see something like the human body and how it works, and study how it works, and come to an appreciation on how God has put us together. You can come to an appreciation of a God who created us with such complexity that you realize he must be pretty complex too. That he must be a God who appreciates order as well. You can come to learn through science that God is a God of means, that he works through a system like photosynthesis to feed us, to help feed us. That he works through the reproduction system to create new life. That if he wanted to, he could create just like that by snapping a finger. But he chooses to work through means to continue to work in our world, to continue to preserve our world. You can see through the study of science that God is a God who appreciates beauty. As you see the beauty of a rainbow or the beauty of a sunset or the beauty in nature of any kind, you can see that God is a God who appreciates beauty. And most of all, in your study of science, you can see that God is a big God. When there are things that you cannot explain fully in science, you can realize that God is beyond our understanding, that God is vast and infinite, and we are not. Now, certainly science lacks some things. Science cannot tell you who Jesus is, only the Bible can. Science cannot tell you that God is a loving God, but the Bible can. But science is something that God created because he is a God of order. We can discover the order that he has put together, and people have for centuries. They've come up with scientific laws, and they've really just discovered what God had created himself. And so that's how they relate to each other. Someone can be a Christian and be a scientist, and vice versa. And that with God in the proper position, science can be a beautiful study that leads you to a deeper appreciation of your God, who loves you and ultimately sent his Son to save you. May God continue to bolster this appreciation in you as you observe nature, as you learn maybe more in science and dig into science. And may God always help you to approach science with humility and to keep it in its proper place, and keep God in his proper place, as well as the Lord over all, the one who is vast and infinite, eternal and almighty.